Jamie's ascending. It's Jamie ascending.
JJ's
Ascension. Millennium.
You like that song.
It's my favorite of Corey Feldman's greatest hits, which has one single on it.
I think it's probably his best song. What do you think?
They're all the best, equally. Welcome, everybody, to Dark Goddess Archetype. Shout out to the PsyOp Cinema guys for the influence on tonight's show, because they themselves first talked about the prevalence of the Dark Goddess in all the films. And I wanted to expand it to Dark Goddess Savior Archetype. And as you know, the Dark Goddess appears all the way back to ancient and medieval literature and whatnot. I've been reading through my Joseph Campbell to get into the mystique of comparative religion's view of the Great Mother, the Universal Mother, the Dark Goddess, and also the Redemptive Earth Mother. She's both at once. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Did you bring your dark books?
Yeah. This book is probably the worst book I have, but everything that was going on Twitter prompted me to read this again and share it with you guys on Rockfin.
What everything going on Twitter? Elon trying to fight with Zuck?
The switch to X instead of Twitter.
Oh, okay.
So I think this book will explain that.
Interesting. So yeah, Jamie's going to do a couple excerpts out of this book, and she gonna read her excerpts in an Escalade with some espresso.
You want to start with that because it's pretty
no
R-rated.
Let's not get into that yet. Let's start with the movies, because we want to hit on a few of these. We chose. I've got a whole list of the movies that I think have this weird, stupid theme in it, and we chose a select, curated list of about 4 or 5. And they all have the same theme of either the woman is now the replacement savior figure, getting rid of that phallogocentrism. It's a woman's world. Or it's the dark savior goddess who sacrifices herself and or brings vengeance to fulfill female revenge fantasies. So I'm noticing this more and more and more. And our first selection tonight is, I'm sure, a movie that you have forgotten. It was very forgettable. We went back and watched it, and I remember its forgetfulness. What did you think of it?
I did forget about it. So 2015, Jupiter Ascending. It was okay. It was a fun sci-fi. Teen sci-fi.
Teen or team?
Teen sci-fi.
Talk at them. Talk at the little screen peoples. Teen sci-fi.
Yeah.
Okay, why is it teen? Is it telling all the teenage girls that they can be a goddess and they don't have to clean toilets, so they believe in themselves?
Well, yeah, it's a Cinderella story.
It is a Cinderella story, yeah.
It was relatively clean.
You mean
as far as
morals?
Lewdness, and yeah, it's just a fairy tale romp through space.
Okay.
Right? She goes from cleaning toilets to owning the entire Earth.
Well, I thought she was going to be the queen of the universe. Is it just...
Maybe.
She just owns the Earth, though.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
I guess we need some more Jupiters.
What's your dowry? Earth?
But this one has a lot of...
Right?
Yeah.
Dowry? Do you even know what that is?
The wedding thing?
The wedding thing.
What you give?
You ain't get no dowry. I ain't pay no dowry.
Is that money that you give to the husband?
It's the money that's the cost of a wife.
Okay.
That's not what it is.
No, it's not. It's money that comes.
You said okay.
Comes with the wife, so she doesn't
it's the
have
money
to ask
that you
for everything.
No, it's the money that you swindle a rich wife out of.
No.
Yes,
it's
it
the
is.
money the dad gives.
No.
The husband, so that
the dad
he helps
gives the
take care
husband.
of her.
That's not what dowry is. You don't even know what a dowry is.
It's money that comes along with getting married. Right? I know I didn't have anything like that. So
anyway.
He married me for free. That was sweet of you.
I swindled you out all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I swindled you out of your feminine empowerment, and now you're learning the ways through watching Wonder Woman and all the Dark Goddess movies. Yes. How you can overcome phallogocentrism and how we've kept y'all down.
I will ascend above you on YouTube.
We tried to put you in a box. Uh-huh. We put you girls in a box like Barbie. Remember in the movie?
Yeah.
And Jamie says, I want out of this box. Anyway, so let's get into Jupiter Ascending because this movie is kind of dumb, but it's also worth talking about because the whole message was Slay Queen girl power, like on a galactic scale.
It's Wachowskis, so they got the girl power.
They have girl power now, exactly.
Right. And she is an illegal alien, the child of scientists. So she's born in international waters, remember? So she doesn't have a homeland. And
she's under that maritime law.
She's a child of an alien and a scientist.
Mila Kunis.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. And
Jupiter Ascending. So we have the astrological element too.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it's always chicks that believe astrology.
But Jupiter is a male god, so now the girl has supplanted the king of the gods, Jupiter. And now it's a female.
Yes. Right. So exactly. Now Jupiter is actually, like Jamie said, named. It's the name for the heroine of the story, who is on a quest to get her birthright. So this is one of the key examples of what I've been saying is that her birthright is to inherit Earth, and ultimately isn't she kind of the empress of the galaxy too?
Well, there's
Earth?
Room for sequels to figure out who inherits what, because this is a Ancient Aliens tale.
Oh yeah,
it's a History Channel. Georgios Tsoukalos, Michael, what's his name?
Bay?
No, the guy with the head. The Ancient
Beavis.
Alien guy. What?
Beavis, Butthead.
W.
George Tsoukalos.
No. Yes, that's
he
one
has
of
the
them.
Head. He also has the hair with the head.
I'll think of it in a second.
The guy with the head?
Yes.
That's most guys.
No, I mean, it's a head.
Off with your head.
The guy, what's his? David Wilcock.
Yes, he has a head.
Yeah. You'll see what I mean if you look.
By the way, if you guys would like it, hitch like a chair. Jamie doesn't know anything about anything tonight, but she's pretty sure that most guys have a head. So
okay, so her dad died.
Right. She's a orphan.
Yes.
Of sorts.
Right.
Well, no, she has a mom, but she's.
So the mom has to go and live the immigrant life in America.
And then she's recruited to scrub toilets.
Yes. And
they're Russian, by the way, and her dad was a science man. Mom was Russian, the dad's British. Remember?
Yes, but he was also an alien, right?
I thought the mom was the divine Anunnaki alien figure.
No, she was just the Russian scientist lady. The dad had something weird going on because he was always trying to get her to look in the telescope.
Okay, so he's a special bloodline.
Yeah.
British bloodline's the elite.
So we got space
Confirmed.
punk going on here. What's that called?
Steampunk?
Steampunk, but it's like space punk.
Oh yeah, there's some space punk. It's a mix of steampunk and Star Wars.
Yeah.
Basically.
And the family name.
The audience says that you were smoking Sheila Jet before you came on here. So.
Too much chocolate.
She smoked too much.
I'm lit on chocolate.
Too much Irish moss.
So there's like a space Byzantium.
It does look like space Byzantium. Yeah.
And their family name is Abrasax, which is like Abraxas.
Which is a variant of Abraxas, which is the Gnostic deity for the creator god, or Yaldabaoth, and also the demiurge, right? So the demiurge creator god is the bumbling buffoon god. So it's telling you that they're into, like, you know, probably Crowleyan Gnostic type stuff. Mm-hmm. By the way, if you guys would hit like and share, where is everybody? It's 8 o'clock. There's nothing else to do on a Monday night.
I don't know. We're having
other
fun.
Than this.
This is
so
fun.
Shame on everybody who didn't show up. There's nothing else to do. Literally. Nothing. Go ahead.
Okay, so the Abrasax family has 3 kids that own like giant swaths of the universe, right? And working for them are the Alpha Draconans, the big lizard, David Icke lizard people.
The Chitauri.
Yes.
Human perception. 5 sense reality.
He works for the Dark Brother who talks like this. Can you do him?
No. I don't remember.
Remember how
maybe
he
it was putting me to sleep.
so...
It's terrible.
He talks
yes, but I don't remember how to do it.
Okay. So the dragon people work for that brother, and the Greys work for the dragon people.
So it literally brings in like the alien mythos, right?
Yeah.
The actual, post 1940s UFO alien mythology.
And the Greys can memory wipe you, so they can come down and switch things around.
They got that Will Smith, Tommy Lee Jones joint.
Yeah.
That they bop you with, right?
And they go bing.
I'm gonna do a little Will Smith laugh to help y'all out.
And her friend that she lives with, her roommate, her family member, cousin, or whatever it's supposed to be, wants her to sell her eggs. Her royal eggies.
To make money.
Yeah. So he can get some money to buy a Xbox or whatever. But she can't because she's royalty and her DNA would be just floating out there. And
you gotta have that on lockdown.
yes. And so the aliens are trying to kill her because they know she's going to inherit the Earth. They don't want her to inherit it. And here comes Channing Tatum as a dog boy.
Tanning Chatham.
What is his name?
Tanning Chatham.
Channing Tatum.
No. Chapping scrotum.
No.
Yeah, chapping scrotum.
Chatham. Tanning.
Scruffing Chapman.
No. He's a cross species because he's her watchdog.
He's a lichen. Yes, so people are like, didn't he have a human dog? Yeah, so there's a human... It's all evolutionary narrative, right? Mm-hmm. Evolutionary space narratives always have the hybrids and the GMOs and which I'm skeptical of all that. I'm not sure I'm not sure you can even make Bat Boy. You know what I mean? I have to disagree with Lord Voldemort on that one because he always says that, he saw the fish people gulping in or somebody saw the fish people gulping in the tanks. Oh gosh, folks, they're gulping in the tanks and they're crying out for their mom. What?
That sounds crazy, but...
Well, I don't think that there are fish people. That doesn't make any sense to me. Because the code from another species is not going to work with you.
Right. Well, that's what they tried to do in Jurassic Park, saying that like DNA is just like Legos, right. And you can just insert
if you play with it, right?
Yeah.
Now, I think you can probably mess people's DNA up and change it, but that doesn't mean that you can become half goat. You can't become Goat Boy because
maybe they're born sterile or something. Like you can make one, but they can't reproduce. Right. I don't know. Channing Tatum is a dog.
It's chafing scrotum.
Is Tatum Channing.
You don't know anything tonight. You don't know what a dowry is. You don't know who chafing scrotum is. You don't know anything.
We live in an underdeveloped world because we don't know about aliens.
I know about the spider goat, but when they say that they've spliced these things, if you go read about it, they'll say that there's a pig man because they took some DNA out of a pig and they injected it into the man. And now the man's DNA is 0.001% pig. And then they'll say, he's part pig. That's literally how it works. So if you go read about it, it sounds fraudulent to me. It doesn't actually sound like what you think it is. You think there's some John Carpenter goo goblin over there hobbling around with, half bat, half human. That's not what it is. Anyway, go ahead. But this populates this narrative. This universe here is populated with these hobgoblins.
Well, did I say it was a panspermia effort? It was a seeded Earth.
Earth is seeded by the aliens to harvest our energy. So there's like an adreno, underlying this. Literally. Like they feast on the energy of the people they've harvested to stay young.
Yeah.
So basically, the space Skittles, the space gays, literally, there's like noble space gays that they feed on the life essence of the humans they've harvested.
Yeah, well, they put it in a jacuzzi, and they get in the jacuzzi, and grow young again.
Oh, you meant the gay lord.
I must have what you have. I must have it.
Yeah. Yes.
You have no idea what you've done.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
I forget which guy you were talking about, yeah.
He's the dark brother, and the other brother is just kind of like a hedonist, Epicurus.
Yeah.
And then
Well, Epicurean, they're not hedonists.
He is, though.
Right.
And then the sister, and Jupiter is the reincarnation of the three Abraxas' mother. They say only once and very so often does the DNA come in the same form. Right? So she's a perfect genetic match to their mom, so that's why she owns all of the resource.
Yeah, so the galaxy's run by a genetic technocracy control grid that has a capitalist monopoly on adreno you-know-what production. So, and by the way, when you take it, well, it's almost like Dune, right? They borrowed a lot from Dune because there's a drug control narrative that underlies the whole universal control system. So it's parallel to Earth's drug control. Mm-hmm. You understand? Mm-hmm. You're not listening.
Yes, I am.
I say things and then you just shake your head and then like a minute, like 5 minutes later, you say what I said.
I was thinking about the gravity boots.
I know, so you're not listening to what I said, exactly.
What'd you say? Just kidding.
That it's like the spice.
Yes,
right?
The DNA is the spice, and
go ahead.
It determines what you inherit.
Correct. Yeah, so it's space bloodlines of the Illuminati.
Yes.
Basically. Borrowed from Dune.
And then you've got Sean Bean.
Sean Bean.
Sean B.
Sean Bean.
As you call him, because he lived in a beehive.
Right. In this movie, he is constantly running around with bees. Hence, Sean B.
Because,
I mean, that's perfect. And there you can see Mila Kunis is sitting there with all the bees, right?
Yeah.
And what was the point of the bees? I mean, she's the queen bee, right?
Yes.
Like Beyonce, Queen Bey.
Exactly. Bees are a symbol of royalty.
Right, I know that.
And she can control them.
Right.
And
Sean B, what's he up to?
And yes,
with the bees. And there's the Greys, by the way.
Instead of a king,
there's the Greys. Okay.
Right.
I want King Sean B.
He can't be a king.
Sounds like a rapper. Sean B. No, Sean B would be like a 2000s era Jamaica rapper. Like,
yes,
a booty rapper. Hey, dude, you heard that new Sean B?
And he's the one that tells her the secret of the universe that you're not ready to hear. That Earth and countless other planets were established by families of transhuman and alien royalty for the purpose of harvesting the organisms to produce a youth serum for the elites of other planets. So they need the sweet cream to stay alive.
Now, this is this is what the Wachowskis often do, is that they'll import these reincarnation narratives, and they did the same thing in Cloud Atlas when they made that film, where in the future people are reincarnated who are part of the revolution and they can change their biology. Shocker, right? You can see now why they made that movie, given that they changed. Mm-hmm. Hint, hint. But in my favorite part of Cloud Atlas, which ties into this, is that in the future, where it's a fast food religion, they're cloning and recycling the humans. So they're basically like the Matrix. They're harvesting and using the people as batteries for the system. And that's what's going on here. They just rehearse that.
And he talks about the dinosaurs. So he says humans came to Earth from another planet and found the dinosaurs.
Fake and gray.
And
there's the gay space lords there.
Yeah.
You have what I want.
The reptilians, who I guess are evolved dinosaurs, work for this guy. And the other ones are extinct. So they're going around seeding human and indigenous species and then splicing them. And this was going on, all going on
genetic experimentation throughout the universe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they go to GAY Saturn, you said?
Yeah, it's not just Saturn, it's fabulous Saturn.
It looks like Naboo.
It's gay Saturn.
Yeah.
They go to gay Saturn. Where time is fabulous.
And that's where she gets in her sweet cream jacuzzi and loses all of her wrinkles. And then Jupiter has to go inherit the Earth and to go to the bureaucrat planet. Remember that crazy place?
Yeah, this is pulling from who's the guy that did the satire novels that you like?
Not Heinlein. Hitchhiker's Guide?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because they have that bureaucracy in space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the brother tries to marry Jupiter so he can inherit his stuff back. One of the brothers, the hedonist guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got like a Isis Horus thing going on.
Yup. Where's Jordan Peterson at?
But it's weird. They all have to follow the laws and the legalities, which are set forth by genetics.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a future dystopia determined by your bloodline, aka your genetics. So it's legitimately bloodlines of the Illuminate confirm.
Yes.
And the space gays won, and they lorded over us. Gay lords of space.
And the evil space capitalists are using people as a resource, and they're
It's specifically like anti-capitalism, anti-space capitalism.
All life is consumption, and then Balaam, that guy who that do him.
Mm-hmm.
You will
I've
not
already
have
done
my.
I've already done it.
Okay, his crib gets destroyed. So he gets what he has coming to him. Queen Jupiter has saved the Earth from being harvested, so she has saved all the souls.
Okay.
On Earth, and Dog Boy Channing Tatum got his wings back.
Channing Tatum.
Because he was not only a dog, apparently he was also part hawk, or I don't know what.
He's a lichen.
But he has wings at the end. He got his wings
because he's
back.
like an angel. He's like a guardian angel.
Like a fallen dog angel.
Mm.
Anyway.
Let's move on. This movie's dumb. What's the next one?
Lucy.
Now, we're going to breeze through this because I just did Lucy the other night.
Okay.
Right? So, let's just kind of go over the main issues with Lucy. And by the way, for those that are wondering, we did also do... we've done the dystopias with her, like Ghost in the Shell. We've done Fifth Element. So we're not going to rehearse Fifth Element because we've already done it. Anyway, but you guys can go watch our podcast that we did previously on Lucy and Fifth Element. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, the evolution scenes in this movie are ridiculous. Missing Link looks retarded.
It looks like Scarlett Johansson.
It looks like, what's that alligator guy? Tiktaalik?
It does look like Tiktaalik, kind of.
So you have stupid cells dividing and mutating into different species.
You have the look of your mother.
And Lucifer.
You have the look of your mother.
And then you think I'm talking about your aunt. I'm talking about Tiktaalik.
Right.
That's from Braveheart, right?
You have the look of your mother.
Have you seen them say that the new evolution of people will have an indent in their skull because they wear headphones too much?
Because you bend over looking at a cell phone.
Yeah, so you're going to have like a little cup holder in your head and your neck will be bent like that.
All right, so basically, you guys know the plot. Scarlett Johansson evolves into becoming a zip drive goddess.
Right.
And she does that through an experimental street drug that the Chinese triads have got a hold of to try to sell. And they sew the drugs up inside her. They bust open, and she becomes Super Jahonk, right? Mm-hmm. Scarlett Jahonk to the max. And then she beats up all her captors because she's a badass bitch. Right? She's a bad bee. She a bad bee.
Well, now she's using more than 10% of her brain.
Right.
And
we only use a few percentage. But as Morgan Freeman, as the God voice tells us, Morgan Freeman, if we only used a few percentage more, we would be like gods and goddesses. Well, it happens. Scarlett Johansson busts it open.
Yes.
And she gets all the way to 100%. And when she hits 100%, she turns into black goo. Sentient black goo. And she transcends.
Well, the drug is called CPH4, which is an actual thing. They said pregnant women manufacture CPH4 to grow bones.
But she's giving birth to the new humanity.
Right.
She's the new mother, the new virgin god. Well, I don't know, she's not a virgin, but she's the new goddess woman, the new savior. right?
She's the
And
missing link.
Just as Mila Kunis was the savior in the last one.
Right. So Lucy,
the genetic DNA savior,
is also the name of that stupid ape they found. They said it was the first person.
Right. So the movie is named after the first supposed missing link, this made-up monkey named Lucy.
And all throughout the movie, Morgan Freeman is narrating this stupid nerd conference.
Morgan Freeman.
Talking
our
a bunch
brains,
of Darwinian...
Only use 10% of our brains.
Yes. And then he gets into stoned ape theory, Terrence McKenna.
Yeah, he brings up Terrence McKenna stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe the monkey ate the shrooms and became conscious and self-aware. That's the stuff. That's actually the theory from Terrence McKenna. And he brings it up. Hence, the movie's fixation on drugs being kind of the catalyst and the sacrament, right? That takes our new lady to the next phase of human evolution.
Yes. The controlled evolution is knowledge handed down through time, and he talks about organisms that can't live forever choose to reproduce.
Yeah, so basically Morgan Freeman has this theory. He's the only one that's figured out how this works, and he solved the mystery of all the Sasquatch nonsense known as Darwinism. Darwinism is basically just Sasquatch theory, dude. Literally, it's just Harry and the Hendersons, like, with footnotes. That's all Darwinism is, but it looks and sounds so, oh, yeah, it's got to be true, right? Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, Morgan Freeman says that the lineage in a genetic sequence, the beings either pass on their DNA or they attempt to achieve immortality. And if you can't achieve immortality, then you pass on your mortality to your descendants. So we know that in this movie, Scarlett Johansson is the new virgin mother in the sense that she's not giving birth. So she's going to pass on her genetics, but she doesn't have a child to do it, which is interesting because they've sewed the drugs up in her womb. Mm-hmm. So the drugs are almost like a new womb for her. And they say that the drug is actually the drug released in childbirth, right? So now she is, again, breaking the mold of the genetic patterns. That's the theory of Morgan Freeman, is that she's the new missing link for the next phase of evolution, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not about Lucy. Lucy was the link in the past. Scarlett Johansson is the new Lucy for the next link, you see.
And the apotheosis is through drugs.
Right. It's like drugs are the sacrament to take you to the next phase, because that's why he's saying that the original Lucy, right, got stoned on some of them Terrence McKenna shrooms and woke up. And now the new Lucy, Scarlett Johansson, is about to trip out and wake up.
But not only is she getting superhuman powers, she's specifically getting the animal powers that are locked up in her DNA from evolution.
It's all of it. Yeah. So she had to access genetic memories. So genetic memories are a big part of this movie because it's passed on from her ancestors. And so when she feels threatened, she starts to, key into and link into the genetic memories that are buried in her subconscious of, predators being around you and trying to attack you.
Yeah.
So she unlocks all of that. Exactly.
And she unlocks her animal evolution powers.
Well, she's the new, you said Prometheus in your notes. She's the female Prometheus.
Exactly.
And she releases her vengeance as well. So she's not just the savior goddess archetype. She's also a vengeful figure because she takes vengeance on all of those triad Tong dudes that try to take her out. And then she just creates a supercomputer and ascends into the next level of reality. Which she does in Her too, by the way. Do you know that she evolves as a sentient iOS in Her when she's Joaquin Phoenix's girlfriend, when he's dating the iOS? It's Scarlett Johansson. And then by the end of the film, she evolves to transcend human reality.
She can start seeing energy when...
So she's basically a new age chick. I can see her vibes.
Yes, she sees vibes.
She sees vibes.
She can see through your body to diagnose you with problems.
She diagnoses her friend as having liver problems.
What makes us is primitive, they're trying to say. And then they play Mozart's Requiem Mass.
Yeah, humans are dead, right? So it's a Requiem Mass for old humanity, man. Because this chick is the new humanity because she, like, kicks ass or whatever. Mm-hmm. And this is Luc Besson, and he always puts the strong super soldier female assassin, programmed mind control girl in every one of his movies, right? Lilu, Fifth Element, another Gnostic savior goddess, right? She can bring some wrath too. Multipass, remember? Mm-hmm. Right? Well, that's Luc Besson. La Femme Nikita, programmed mind control street chick who is a super killer, Luc Besson. Mm-hmm. The Messenger with Mila Jovovich, Joan of Arc, Luc Besson. Lucy, also. There you go. And he did Anna, the spy movie from a few years ago, where that chick is like a bisexual honeypot. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Anna, programmed assassin.
So when she gets to 28%, they say she's colonizing her own brain. She can control her metabolism. She can control the TV, the radio, other people's bodies. She feels no pain and has no fear. And she has to get to Morgan Freeman.
Because nobody else understands her. Only Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Exactly.
Basically. Right.
And so she's gone super spurg and
Brother Science Man is the only one that gets it.
Yeah. And she starts becoming like that.
She does become a super spurg. She has no emotions. Mm-hmm. And she just like spits stuff out like a spurg, right? Mm-hmm. She becomes a Tism master. She's like a T5000 Tism.
She's over level 9000.
No, T like the T5, the T2000 in Terminator.
Yeah.
That's the T for Tism.
Uh-huh.
The Tism 2000.
Okay.
Or the T3000. T5000.
And she's also...
She can also...
Like X-Men girl who can shapeshift. Who's that?
Yeah, she's the J-Law. I forget what her name is. Right?
Yeah.
Nightcrawler or whatever. I don't know. But she can change her hair at will.
Mm-hmm. Woo. And that one scene when she's on the plane, she starts to dematerialize.
Yeah, she's already starting to lose her material reality-ness.
So she is the person on the plane that's not real.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. That was a good one.
Yeah.
All along, y'all didn't know it, but it was Scarlett Johansson.
And then she turned into Rainbow Sprinkles. She can see Wi-Fi. Remember,
yeah,
she's like messing with the blank bandwidth.
Right there. See? Look. Look.
Yep. They say she's a witch. Because they're hunting her, and now she has witchcraft powers.
Right. Well, the Chinese triad dude calls her the witch.
Yeah.
So in other words, primitive, unevolved, patriarchal societies didn't understand the power of y'all ladies and y'all slay queens. And when y'all had superpowers, we got scared and we just called it witchcraft to oppress you. Yes. Right?
Yeah. Time. So when they get to the climax of the meaning of everything, it's time. Do you remember that?
Yeah, her big revelation to Morgan Freeman about the metaphysics of reality is time.
Yeah. So they're
time.
Like, time is the only measurement.
Whoa.
Time is unity, all is one.
Mind blown. Monism, man. Time.
Ignorance brings chaos, and knowledge is the order out of chaos.
She can fast forward and slow down time. Look at that. It's amazing.
So now she's outside of time.
Right.
Like, with phenomenal cosmic powers.
Yes. Well, she's achieved apotheosis.
And the order out of chaos. Remember that?
Was it mentioned?
Mm-hmm. And...
She's order out of chaos?
Yeah. Because she turns into black goo and
she
eats
becomes
the
sentient,
servers.
Right, she becomes sentient black goo and transcends to bilocate and basically be beyond physical spatial location.
Yes, so she goes back to the beginning of time when we were all swamps.
Well, if you remember at the very end, she sends a text message to the French cop and it says, "I'm everywhere." So she achieves omnipresence.
In AI, right?
Yeah, she becomes the evolved AI and super goddess.
She goes and meets the ape Lucy, and they touch fingers like
God.
Sistine Chapel, right? Which was so stupid.
That was really dumb.
So she's the woman star child, at the beginning of time.
Right.
She goes back to the Big Bang, the primordial goo of the universe.
So there's primordial goo. Now she's the primordial black goo. The new goo.
Yeah.
The new goo do you.
You do you, goo.
You do you, new goo. You do you, black goo.
So she's the original monad. She transcended her body.
Well, they show at one point a single cell, and then it divides, right? And that's when Morgan Freeman's given his whole lecture about the monad and everything becoming many, and then it goes back to one. And you're right, she's the ultimate return to the source principle.
And she...
Return to source.
She hands Morgan Freeman a flash drive, which is the secret
Which
of
is
the
her.
universe.
She becomes a zip drive, dude.
Yeah. Somebody said Brave Goo World. That was really good. Very good. She's everywhere and on a zip drive.
If she were a band, she would be the Black Goo Goo Dolls.
Yes. Life was given 1 billion years ago. Now you know what to do with it. So.
That was dumb.
That was really dumb.
So, yeah, you guys get the idea. This is one of the classic examples of, right, the dark savior goddess archetype. We talked about Fifth Element. Everybody knows we did, I think, two sufficient breakdowns of Barbie. There's no need to rehearse Barbie. But, you know, it was significant that the sequence has the 2001 theme where evolution was, the primal world was originally matriarchal, right? And so it's a takeoff on, you know, 2001, but the idea is that it's matriarchal, it evolves to patriarchy, and then it needs to go back to matriarchy because in the ideal Barbie world, it's a matriarchy, right? Somebody says Scarlett Goo Hansen. Exactly.
Okay, Barbie, let's go party.
That's your favorite song?
I'm a Barbie girl. No, I hate that song.
You love that song.
No.
That's why you're singing it.
Do you want to talk about what we're talking about now?
That's
we're halfway done.
Yeah, because Barbie can also bring vengeance. So she's a goddess that can bring salvation and vengeance. Okay. So Jamie found in one of the esoteric texts of Coomer in Chief, Alistair Coomley, that he talks about the dual aspect of the goddess, which was relevant because Campbell says the same thing in the section I just read today. Go ahead.
So we're going to talk about Alice in Wonderland in a second, and in this one is all about merging the dream world and the real world because she thinks she's dreaming the whole time, but she's not.
Who, Barbie?
No, Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Barbie.
Well, next movie we're going to talk about.
Go ahead.
And in this
That's
chapter...
called surrealism.
Yes, called Dream Control by Sexual Magic. So...
SEX.
This is R-rated. So, okay, what this book... That's why we're doing it on Rockfin, because it's not... later.
So, we're on YouTube.
SEX.
I have to remind Jamie. We're on YouTube.
So, the Scarlet Women are the ones they use in ritual. Mm-hmm. And it's all about bringing them to ecstasy without touching them. And
you can just give the TLDR. You don't have to read all of it.
Well, I want to get this quote. Okay, so they're talking about using women as a vehicle of the goddess who is powerful enough to give birth to anything desired. Concerning this stage, they're talking about the end, and they're talking about, like, never mind, I won't say that. Kalas, look that up. So it says, when a woman becomes, in actual fact, the goddess 15, she becomes oracular, a superhuman force capable of saving, or if the rite has been improperly performed, of blasting any person who approaches her. Hence the ferocious countenances of the Dakinis, who are the witch queens depicted on the Tibetan sacred banners.
You're a filthy Daikini, baby. So, what was the point of that? If you don't, right, if you don't do the ritual right, she becomes the vengeful goddess, right?
And this is connected to Kali worship, who can be the Great Mother or the Destroyer.
Right. I just read that in the Campbell book.
Yes.
All right, was there another quote, or is that...
No, let's save that for Rockfin, because it's spicy.
So Jamie's doing a Rockfin show that's going to be a little too dirty in terms of this book for what we can talk about over here. Yeah. So let's move on to Alice in Wonderland, and we are covering the Burton one. Although I did do a video on the novel. If you guys haven't seen that, you can go find that. And right now I'm reading part 2 through the Looking Glass, so I'll do a video on that as well. But the reason we chose this one is because even though the novel's not really about this, the Tim Burton movie is a Gnostic goddess savior archetype, and she's even a slay queen. Like, she gets a boss bitch position when she comes back to the real world.
Because she has to slay the dragon. So
that's why she's a slay queen.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this one is about Victorian feminism.
Right. And
it begins with the businessmen talking, and women aren't involved in that, right? It's a man's world in 1890s. I don't know.
Right, 1890s, I think, yeah.
And she is having nightmares of Wonderland as a child because she had just gotten back from her first romp there, right?
No, she's had many romps there.
Oh, okay.
In the dream world, she's in Wonderland, but she doesn't remember
when she's waking up as a little girl. Right. She's like having nightmares of her time. And then when she grows up, it starts showing that she is a non-traditional woman. She doesn't want to wear stockings. She doesn't want to wear a corset. She doesn't want to
marry the nerdy dude.
Right. And it's kind of saying that all of her decisions are being made for her, and she has no agency, right?
Yeah, I clicked the wrong one. I was looking at through the Looking Glass.
They get to the party where she's expected to accept this guy's proposal, except for she goes to Wonderland instead.
Right. And you got John Depp.
And you got the White Rabbit is keeping time, so there's another connection to Lucy. Was about time.
Well, I was reading about the novel, and these are some of the themes that Lewis Carroll wrote about. And some of the literary scholars think that Lewis Carroll might have actually been a multiple personality disorder person, but his themes were physical and emotional transformation, the loneliness of growing up and no longer being a child. And so there's a lot of celebrations of youth. I know there's allegations about him. I don't know what his personal story is, but it's interesting that people think that he actually was multiple personality. And if you watch my video on Alice in Wonderland, if you remember from the actual book, none of these dumb movies, but in the book, she's actually multiple personality. When she gets to Wonderland, there's a sequence where it makes it clear that she has multiple personalities. A lot of people don't know that, but yeah, it's a mirror world, which was a fascination that he had in terms of the Looking Glass. But the Looking Glass is just another way to go into Wonderland. But going to sleep is another way. Going down the rabbit hole is another way. And this becomes kind of a pattern, I think, for later experimentation and mind control because of the themes that were there, and probably because of the fact that he was a multiple personality person. But he also was obsessed with time, life, and death, and controlling your emotions, controlling how you react to situations, and fate versus free will. I think he was he believed in a social genetic determinism. So even though he was a kind of theist, he believed in predestination. So he wasn't really a fan of free will. And lastly, Carroll was a mathematician, and so he's focused. He's like basically a Spurg of his day. So he's focused on all of these really weird geometric structures and mathematical principles, how they relate to other dimensions. That was a big thing in, like Flatland by Edwin Abbott. Same type of literature. It's called, this is called nonsense genre. But a lot of people don't know that the stories are actually really dark. They're not really kids' tales.
And it was originally called Alice Adventures Underground, and they call it Underland in the movie.
Mm-hmm. It's her subconscious.
Right. And time, I was going to say, is another theme with Lucy in this one and Jupiter Ascending. And in this book, they were talking about how different cults would use women for timekeeping because of 28-day cycles.
Oh, interesting.
Cults of Kali use the BLOOD of the girls.
So basically, non-bitch and bitch times.
Yes.
Because of the cycles.
Yeah. And PMS times
That was a joke.
Calendar.
Are we on the non-bitch or are we on the bitch calendar?
And so the White Rabbit
It's the
is keeping
seasons.
the time.
It's like a liturgy, like non-bitch and bitch season and non-bitch season.
And he stands for madness and death and limited time on Earth.
Yes, he was obsessed with all those things in the novels, so it's interesting that made it into this weird version of the stories, the Disney version. But I don't think that his stories are really about female empowerment at all. So they really changed this by putting Mia Wasikowska in this role of being the hero. So, I mean, the other ones are about coping with the difficulties of life. This one is about Mia Wasikowska basically going through the hero's journey to slay the dragon, right? Because the Jabberwocky in this is a dragon.
The first room that she comes in, well, the entrance to Wonderland is always the checkerboard floor room.
Yes.
Where you have to take the drugs.
Well, that's because throughout both stories, there's references to chess pieces and game playing. Because game playing is based on mathematics, and Lewis Carroll was into math. So he was very into what eventually becomes game theory of like choices and limitations and options and playing cards, solitaire, poker, that kind of stuff. So that's why you'll see, and the checkerboard's also playing chess, right? And the chess pieces play a big role in the second one.
So she thinks it's a dream, and this makes her more daring. Right?
Well, it kind of is, but it's a lucid dream.
Right. You've got Snape as the caterpillar, Absalom.
Jamie Hanshaw.
Do it.
Harry Potter.
He's kind of like the mystic, mystical guide.
Well, he's huffing on a hookah.
Yes.
So.
And you've got Crispin Glover.
Crazy Crispin Glover playing the what's his name? He's a card, but he's the playing
Something
card.
of hearts.
Yeah.
He's got a heart eye patch.
Yeah.
And they have talking animals like Narnia. And they have a beast called the Bandersnatch. Remember him?
Yeah, I forgot that Bandersnatch, the Netflix series, that's from this, right? And wasn't Bandersnatch the one where you can play along in the game? So it's like a reference
you choose your own adventure.
Right, but it's a reference to Through the Looking Glass.
Right. Johnny Depp's Mad Hatter, I think he did a good job.
Yes, he plays a good crazy Mad Hatter.
I think he was kind of born for that role. Yeah. Right?
But now she's the hero.
Yeah.
Right.
She's the knight in shining armor. Right. And the savior of Wonderland, because she has to slay the Jabberwocky. And they are telling her her fate. But she has to learn to assert herself like she has to in the real world. And when she has to say no to marriage and go be a...
Right. So when she comes back from Wonderland, exactly. The lesson that she's learned is to become a boss bitch, to become a slay queen, to live in the corporate world that I think her dad's a shipping magnate, right? He gives her...
Yeah.
He gives her the business or whatever.
She's literally a slay queen.
Yeah.
And I like the Helena Bonham Carter character is
the Red Queen.
Deformed, and all of her subjects have to act deformed like she is, or she gets upset, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's poking at the nobility and the upper class, pointing out that everybody has to pretend that, you know, the nobility or the queen is the most beautiful woman in the room, even when she's ugly. So, which is interesting because if you're a genetic determinist, then you believe that, you know, those people are there by genetic determination.
Wouldn't they have the best symmetry and Fibonacci?
No, not necessarily. Just the most cunning.
Oh.
Just like in the jungle, it's not the prettiest being that's the king of the jungle.
Oh, okay.
It's the most ruthless, right?
All right.
So if you believe in just, you know, social Darwinism, there's no reason to critique the upper class?
They keep winking at the notion of madness as a gift because they keep saying all the best people are bonkers.
Well, this is a theme in a lot of the trauma-based mind control movies where madness and insanity are basically stand-ins for actual genius, actual knowledge, actual skill, actual talent. And that's on purpose. It's another theme that the PsyOp Cinema guys have highlighted, which is that this idea is that the if you increase madness, it's directed evolution, right? Because more and more people will be forced to cope and will be forced to adapt. And so one of the theories that underlies Bertrand Russell's books or Jonas Salk is the idea of directed evolution, that you can put the environmental stressors on people, whether it's psychological, biological, toxicological, whatever, to make them evolve better and faster. I mean, it's just crazy, but that's the idea.
What about the idea of like blurring the lines between like genius and madman? They do that a lot.
Well, it's true that
like Oppenheimer.
Yeah, that's part of an archetype pattern that they've created. I mean, certainly a lot of genius people have been eccentric, but you can't be literally insane and be a genius.
Right.
I mean,
Or
I guess
beautiful
maybe in
mind.
some limited cases you can. Yeah, but I mean, he was like, he had a period where he was that way, but once he went insane, he couldn't function anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you could argue that some musicians can produce, genius, but I mean, you can't typically function like if you're absolutely insane. You know what I mean?
That just reminded me of the madman as the shaman too, like in Midsommar. And Mad Hatter is kind of the...
Could be.
Yeah.
Well, he's the fool character, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's the fool archetype. Somebody said Golden Compass. Yeah, I do remember that Golden Compass is about basically mind control and, basically trafficking, what. So, but I think that girl does end up being a savior, doesn't she?
In what movie?
Golden Compass.
Oh, yeah. And
Well, go ahead.
Anne Hathaway's the White Queen. They fight on the chessboard and they are fighting for the crown of Underland.
Yeah, all of this, we can move past all this, because all this was just a vehicle for her to be a slay queen when she comes back to Earth.
So when she gets back, she's like, no, I won't marry you. No, I won't do what you say. Mm-hmm. Remember? And she becomes a merchant apprentice on the sea.
Yeah, so she chose a barren life of corporate work, what all you ladies want so bad.
Yeah.
And and then to have no one to take care of you in your old age.
I know. I want to go sailing in 1890 to China. And not really.
Yeah, right. Doesn't that look fun?
No.
Anyway, so Slay Queen. Oh yeah, another Slay Queen. Wonder Woman 1984, right?
Yeah.
Now we're just going to hit the highlights of this because I already did a whole podcast on Wonder Woman 1984. I put that up on Twitter today. So if you're interested in seeing my older podcast where I did Black Widow and Jungle Cruise, Wonder Woman 1984, that podcast is right here on my Twitter. And if you haven't subscribed to me on Twitter, please do so. I'm almost at 50,000. So right under 50,000 subs on Twitter. There's that Wonder Woman 1984. But the basic idea here is that she's another goddess, obviously. She's from an Amazonian planet. And originally, we find out that the queen of her people, named Asteria, she sacrificed herself to save the Amazon women from being enslaved by the men. So the patriarchy comes and tries to enslave them. And Asteria does a virtuous sacrifice for the ladies. That's young Wonder Woman there training in the trials. And she grows up, comes to Earth. We all know this story, right? In the movie also, it's a weird film because it critiques consumerism. It's very anti-consumerism, but ironically, it's in the midst of a DC film about buying a bunch of consumers' garbage, right? All the comic books and all this nonsense. All the action figures, all the Wonder Woman stuff. And the narrative of the story takes place in 1984, where there's this sort of Trump-Reagan character that's blended, right? It's also a little Tragan. It's also a little bit of Putin in it, because we find out that the Trump-Reagan character in 1984, the oil tycoon, is colluding with the Soviets. So it could even have a little bit of Putin in there. So I was trying to mix up Trump, Reagan, and Putin, and I got Prutrumpkin. That's the only one I could come up with. So the villain is Prutrumpkin, and it's all three. It even has like an orange wig. I mean, it's obviously Trump, right? Colluding with the Soviets. It's so stupid. But Wonder Woman comes to be a Gnostic, dark goddess savior archetype to save us from the greedy patriarchal oil tycoons. And the weird part is that he's an antichrist figure. So phallogocentrism is basically equated with Antichrist in this story, right? Where he's going to take over the world. But Antichrist is patriarchal. And thus the solution is goddess to overcome patriarchal Antichrist. So yeah, she's also likened to, in the film, Athena. She's called Minerva at one point. There's a character that's a Crowley reference. The son of the Trump character is called Alistair. We won't go into that. Oh, you have to evoke and control the elementals. So it's basically like primitive, goddess magic. The idea of evoking and controlling elemental spirits. That's how you master your, Wonder Woman powers or whatever. It's actually part of evolutionary process in this story. She defeats the Slay Queen, Slay Queen defeats Trump. And by the way, they call the obelisk in DC the God of Lies. And I was trying to think, well, why would they call the Masonic obelisk the God of Lies? It's like, oh, well, it's the phallus. Yeah, so the phallus is the source of lies, according to this movie. And then she is the self-sacrificial goddess at the end who saves us from Prutrumpkin.
What do they talk about the moon mission?
It's just a reference to the moon missions, and I was just laughing because I was thinking about how playing golf on the moon is like a comic book.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to the next one because we already covered this one. This is a new one to me, and it was everything I expected and not surprised at all. What did you think of Dark Phoenix?
I think of movies, it was the best of these four as a movie.
That we've done so far?
Yeah.
As a movie, Wonder Woman wasn't terrible. I mean,
yeah.
Some of the CGI was kind of laughable, but it was, I mean, if you set aside all the Slay Queen stuff, it was an entertaining, because it took place in 1984. But
so, weirdly enough, in this book, they also talk about X-Men, right? And mutants taking over and continuing evolution by mutation. So that's what these mutants are, right? X-Men.
Correct. And we just did the Anya Taylor-Joy podcast we did. We covered her in... She's always in a trauma-based mind control movie. But when she was in The New Mutants, right? That movie was literally about trauma. Mm-hmm. So the way that you create the super soldiers and the X-Men, right, is that you force evolution by trauma. Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And so this one starts out in 1975. Jean Grey's parents are killed in a car accident. It's partially her fault. So this starts her trauma train.
How she becomes a villain.
Yeah.
It's her villain story.
And
it's, what's her name? Sansa? Sansa Stark is playing Dark Phoenix.
She has to use her gifts at Xavier's school.
Right, so this is basically the GATE program, Gifted and Talented Education, where they bring in the evolved, different children because they're better than everybody else. If you saw X-Men First Class, that was a depop eugenics narrative where Magneto wanted to depopulate all of the muggles, the normies, because they weren't evolving to be the new humanity. And that's how he has this fight with Professor X, the James McAvoy character in First Class. And the CIA comes in to help out Professor X. So what's interesting is that Professor X's school is actually set up by the CIA. And it's a special school for the mutants. because they're the new phase of humanity evolving. And of course, they're led by the ladies.
Is Xavier's school like MK Ultra?
Kind of, because part of the program was that New Mutants program where they're inducing trauma to create the... they're taking children with already having the X-Men gifts and basically souping them up by traumatizing them.
So this one starts with the
Let's
action
move faster.
Goes back to 1992 where the NASA rocket launch goes bad and the X-Men have to rescue the astronauts. And you've got the president calling the X-Men for help. Remember?
Yeah, as if, like... Well, I mean, number one, like, why does the president do... Like, the movies love to give the impression the president's calling all the shots, right? Like, he makes a phone call and sends somebody up to save the astronauts. It's just so stupid, right?
And they get up there and there's, like, a space blob. A Colorado space blob.
Colorado space blob infects Sansa Stark, and she starts having bad nosebleeds and dreams and starts freaking out and histrionics, basically.
She has absorbed the cosmic energy and reformed, so that's what this Kenneth Grant book is about also, absorbing cosmic energies and channeling them.
Well, what we find out is that it's actually Jessica Chastain and her albino space people, right, who are basically body snatchers. That is their way to harvest planets, right?
Yeah, so they're following the blob.
To harvest planets.
Right. And they make a comment in this movie, actually. The women are always saving the men. Why should you call it X-Men, call it X-Women? Remember when
Good point.
Jennifer Lawrence said that?
Yeah, well, it's a Slay Queen reference, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and why shouldn't they call it that? Because, I mean, this one is about girl power too, right?
Yeah. And after she absorbed the blob, her power is off the charts, and the mystery substance propels the evolutions.
Yeah, they make it clear that it's directed evolution, exactly.
And then you've got the shape-shifting aliens, which is the Jessica Chastain.
Well, they're
guys.
Basically just body snatchers.
Yeah. And you've got the esoteric phoenix symbolism.
And for those that don't know, in the Scottish Rite, the phoenix is the symbol for the 33rd degree, and the symbol is order out of chaos, ordo ab chaos, right?
Which was in Lucy.
Right. So the idea of a lot of these esoteric schools and Western Hermetic tradition is that all of nature is kind of in this formless mass, and then it has to have order stamped on it. And so out of the dialectical process, you get the imposed order. And so she's the new order.
The blob has...
which has no form
amplified
or order.
her anger at her Xavier for messing around in her mind when she was a child and taking her memories away.
Yup.
Right?
James McAvoy rolling around like Bezos. He's rolling around in a Bezos chair.
He looks like Stephen Hawking and Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Hawksos.
Jeff Hawking. So he messed around in her mind when she was a kid.
Bozos.
Like
Hawk Bozos. I like that one mixed up. Go ahead.
MK Ultra, and that's why she is pissed now that she's got the blob in her. Mm-hmm. And the cosmic energies. Then she finds out her dad gave her to the professor because he was scared of her.
Of course. Trauma in her past. And her powers she can't control.
And then so they have to go to Magneto's Rainbow Gathering hippie commune for help. Remember?
Yeah, so it's weird. So after Magneto tries to depopulate the Earth, it fails, and he just goes and sets up a commune. It's like, what? It makes no sense.
And nobody's welcome on Magneto's island. The president starts rounding up the mutants. They do this in every movie almost. Like, the humans turn on the mutants.
We're tired of you mutants. We got to shut you down because we're scared of you because we fear you.
Exactly.
And just like the patriarchy fears you women, we're scared of you. That's why we have to keep you down.
Yes. And the blob, they say, is the pure cosmic force, the spark that gave life to the universe, and the flame that destroyed their alien world. So it's the creator goddess force.
Correct.
Kali, once again.
It's Kali once again, yeah. We get the same thing in Resident Evil, too, because eventually Alice from Alice in Wonderland, by the last installment, she's not just a prototype for all of the clones. which are the new humanity. She's basically achieved a kind of godhood transcending time and space. And she can then, the reason that she's cloned is that she's the perfect new human. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Then you got your X-Men fighting in public. The alien sucks the cosmic energy out of her. But it kind of destroys her, like in Indiana Jones, where Kate Blanchett's like, I want to know. Yeah.
That came up in this Joseph Campbell book, too. I want to know. Where there was something to do with the Universal Mother and her. I want to know. Go ahead. I forget where it was.
That guy with his stupid magic dreadlocks. That was really dumb. Remember?
Probably the dumbest. That's like the Cenobite that shoots out CDs. Right?
Yeah.
Like you got a dude that can wrap you up with his dreads. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
So you have the mutants versus aliens. Jean versus alien Jessica Chastain. And the power is too much. Her emotions is what make her strong.
Of course, but she has to learn to control her emotions, because if she got them girl histrionics going, then she's liable to blow up a nuclear plant on accident.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's liable to derail a train.
So she's forgiven Professor X and her parents, and she's got that Phoenix and Space Light show going on.
Well, she then transcends bodily existence.
Yeah. She becomes something else.
She, quote, becomes something else. They never tell us what she becomes. She just like... There's a giant phoenix in the sky, and then she's gone. And they're like, okay, yeah, we'll go to her funeral. What?
Yeah, that circle and the X.
That's X-Men.
Yeah, I know.
So Jamie's going to be talking about the symbolism of the circle and the X, by the way, if you're curious. What's next?
That's it, unless you want to do that one.
Well, I'm going to mention, let's mention a little bit. It's not exactly this. It kind of is. Weird Science, if you go back and watch Weird Science, is kind of the savior archetype of the female, because if you remember, Kelly LeBrock teaches Gary and what's the other one? Wyatt and Gary the lesson that they don't want an SEX bot. They want a real girl. And so it takes this incarnate Gnostic goddess principle who can do both good and evil, right? She brings vengeance and salvation. Like, her whole purpose is to teach Wyatt and Gary that they don't need SEX bots. So it actually has a good message, but she is the savior goddess, right? Mm-hmm. What do you think? It's also really Gnostic too. Like, it's a bunch of alchemy.
And they get the idea from watching Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm. Which is about transhumanism and alchemy, like the earliest versions of this, right?
Yeah.
In modern literature, I should say.
And electricity making life.
And did you remember they hack into the Pentagon or something, which is weird because hacking was pretty new. I mean, you got war games with Matthew Broderick where they're hacking the Pentagon. Mm-hmm. But to see Gary and Wyatt hacking things, that's way ahead of its time.
Right.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't want to say too much because me and Rachel are going to do it, but they are doing like electric voodoo almost.
Yeah, they call it voodoo.
Yeah.
I mean, Danny Elfman in the song calls it voodoo.
And
he calls it voodoo and alchemy.
Opening portals through computers.
Yeah, it's basically like CERN, right? So it's like they open up CERN when they're they combine magic and tech. So it's like Theosophy or it's Crowleyan,
Yeah. And then she comes and she can manifest anything in the material world, just like the Scarlet Woman.
Right. Yeah, she is a kind of, because she appears as a sex goddess too, mm-hmm. right? She's not just like a savior. She's the, there's the Madonna and the whore, which goes back to the Joseph Campbell stuff and all the ancient religions, right? And she's both of those.
Right.
Go ahead.
It's pretty borderline.
What do you mean borderline?
Well, I guess she never sleeps with them, but
that's what that's like. She's not exactly chaste, but she's also not exactly an SEX bot.
Yeah.
But she's intended to be an SEX bot.
Yeah.
So she's an emergent deity.
But she's also transcends them. She's more angelic, like a...
Yeah.
Right?
Well, but I mean, she has basically the power to do anything.
She's a mystical being.
Yeah. I mean, they open up a portal where literal Mad Max people start coming from an alternate universe.
Yeah.
So and there's a point in the movie where one guy goes into a TV show and he gets stuck in the TV show. And then at the same time, another portal is opened up and people are coming from the Mad Max universe. And it's actually the guy that plays the villain in the second Mad Max in Road Warrior. He comes into Road Warrior as his character. I mean, from Road Warrior as his character. So it's like multiverses are blending. Reality is breaking and glitching, right? Like there's a blue kitchen all of a sudden.
Well, because they try to make another one and they mess it up.
Right,
And
that's right. They try to make
starts.
another Kelly LeBrock and it makes reality. It's like it's CERN 2.0, right? Like shit just goes nuts. Okay, what's next?
Well, basically, she's just the catalyst to their maturing out of their like creeper incel.
Right, she teaches them a good lesson, right? But it expresses the idea of what Crowley and LaVey and all these people are after with the SUX bots.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And Metropolis as well,
So
right?
Scarlet Woman is part of their evolution.
What is?
The Scarlet Woman.
Right. So some of the other notable mentions that we didn't cover in terms of the whole film, either because we've covered it before or you can go check out these archetypes on your own. And by the way, thank you for those super chats. We'll read those here in a minute. If you want to support the show, you can via the super chat function. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. I'm almost at 50,000. Be sure to follow me on TikTok as well. I do have a TikTok, and I'm able now I can do live streams on TikTok because I've gotten over 1,000 subs there. So be sure and follow me there just as a backup and another way to reach another whole audience. A lot of people on TikTok aren't on the other social medias. So it's its own community. But Ripley in Aliens, she's totally a female savior archetype, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, she's like a boss bitch even from the first one on. Like when they're on the Nostromo, she's telling everybody what to do. She's totally the savior archetype by Aliens 2 when she saves Newt. And then eventually she becomes the prototype for the new evolved humanity, which is merged with the xenomorph. Remember that? Mm-hmm. She's also cloned just like Alice is in Resident Evil. In Alien Resurrection, she's cloned. Ghost in the Shell, another Scarlett Johansson vehicle, which we didn't cover, and I know that there's a lot of fans of the anime. It's kind of it's a classic, but once again, it's another of where she plays the Gnostic feminine savior archetype. They pull a lot from Blade Runner in this instantiation. I know that the cartoon original is the standard. I know everybody loves it. I remember watching it in the 90s. I thought it was pretty cool back then. I never really got into anime though, but the movie, I don't think it's accidental they chose her. They always put her in this role of being the evolving super soldier female goddess savior character. Mm-hmm. So basically she becomes a super soldier assassin, and then there's a hive mind, which we think is bad guy, but it's actually a good guy. So long story short, once again, she's the ascended female savior.
What about that one where she was an alien? Yes,
Under the Skin. She's also an alien. She's not just a savior. She's kind of a savior, I guess, to her aliens. She ends up dying at the end in Under the Skin, but she's feeding off of the humans. So she's the dark goddess Punisher, right, archetype. And that's actually a vehicle for, as a lot of people noted, female revenge fantasies, right? Because she's just driving around town, and supposedly the story was when they filmed that movie, she's driving around Scotland and Ireland. People didn't know that it was Scarlett Johansson, and so that supposedly it's just real dudes hitting on her, which I don't think that's true, because most people aren't good actors, right?
Yeah.
So you can't just have some random dude's going to be some skanky Irish dude's going to be hitting on Scarlett Johansson
with a camera crew.
With a camera crew, and she's going to ride off with him. That's so stupid, right?
Yeah.
Well, it supposedly was like hidden cameras, but anyway.
I did want to watch Scarlet Witch someday. I hear there's a lot of stuff in that.
Like Seamus with no teeth is over there like, "Oi! Come back to my crib. I want you to come back to my crib." What now?
I wanted to watch Scarlet Witch, but we didn't have time.
Oh yeah, we're going to Scarlet Witch. That's obviously goddess stuff, but we didn't get to that. So it sounds cool. Yeah, well, but we all know Seamus with no teeth is not going to be successful hitting on Scarlett Johansson in a moving van.
Only if she's an evil alien that sucks your soul.
Exactly. Maybe in that case.
Yeah. So.
Have y'all seen Under the Skin? You know what we're talking about, right?
A beautiful woman comes and hits on you for no reason. She probably wants your...
Yeah, I think she was flirting with him, wasn't she?
Yeah.
She was going around and flirting with all these
yeah.
hideous Seamuses over there in Ireland.
Yes.
Driving around, recruiting them. And then she was taking them and she was turning them into black goo.
Yeah.
So she was dipping them in the goo.
Yes.
And then sucking all their bones out.
And they were led around
see,
by their...
they're going into the goo. There you go.
She led them by their hot dogs.
Illuminated firm.
Yep.
She's ensnaring and entrapping them. She's a honeypot, right? Honey trap for all these lusty Irish blokes, right?
Yep.
Anyway, couple more of the ones that I thought. Children of Men. Did you notice in Children of Men that it's a virgin birth, but it's a female? So the black girl is conceiving as a virgin, the main character there, in that dystopian story, but she's giving birth to a girl. You could argue maybe Color Out of Space. Hannah, if you saw the Saoirse Ronan installation of Hannah. I've never watched this show. Everybody's like, have you seen the TV show? Mm-hmm. No, I haven't watched this. But I did watch this movie. And it's also interesting that she's, I didn't catch it the first time around, but she's kind of sexually ambiguous. Do you remember that scene? Where she doesn't seem to be into boys. And they make that clear in one scene, right? Mm-hmm. But she's a programmed super soldier, MK Ultra girl, and the CIA wants her back. She's a CIA project. And if you remember, the film ends with her being chased, and they talk about MK Ultra, I think, at an old abandoned Alice in Wonderland theme park. Did you notice that?
Oh, no.
Yeah. So she ends up in an Alice in Wonderland theme park at the end. But, yeah, I like the movie just as a movie. It was pretty good. Did you see it?
Long time ago.
Yeah. But she's, again, Gnostic Savior, Super Soldier Girl archetype. Calypso in Pirates of the Caribbean. Jack Sparrow. Right. Pleasantville, right? Doesn't color come when she gives them an apple? Isn't it?
She gets them to sin, and that brings.
Is it not an apple?
Color into the world.
But it's Reese Witherspoon gets people to sin,
yeah.
Right? And that brings color,
right?
So she's the dark goddess, Gnostic Savior archetype.
Terminator.
The last Terminator where Arnold was a cucked blind salesman.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think I got them all. And then somebody said do Queen of the Damned, but we didn't get to. Oh, Rey in Star Wars. She's a new female savior. Yeah, it's also tiresome. You want to read these super chats?
Yep.
Right there.
Travis, $50. I dare you to open the stream performing Pay Piggy.
Well, I just now saw your super chat, so I guess it's too late for that. But how about the next best thing? I will play you a little bit of Pay Piggy, and then I'll sing a few verses. But I didn't have that. Rigged up, ready to go. So I'm sorry, buddy. But I can play you a little bit of it. How about this? Ooh, I like this.
Pay Piggy. Ooh, Pay Piggy. Just give me one more super chat. Pay Piggy. Just give me one more super chance. Pay Piggy. Band-Aids don't give you AIDS. Pay.
Ooh. Pay Piggy.
Ooh, ooh.
How did that work? Did that work? That's That's not what I was looking for, though. I don't really like the original. I actually prefer the remix. The Rap Caviar version. Don't y'all like this one better?
Hey Piggy. Hey Piggy. Don't make me go back to that 9 to 5. Wage cut ain't no way to be alive. Don't make me go back to 9 to 5. Wage cut ain't no way to be alive. Ooh. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chat. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one. Ooh.
When I'm with my boo, one miss two, then he makes free. Yeah, we have the baby. She want Versace, she want Gucci. Gotta lay down all my bands on the Lambo, cause she don't like my Volvo, no. And she got a diamond grill on her baby teeth. Coolest kid in the nursery. But you know, I'm not a material.
All right. That's enough of that. I know those. I did it live. What do you mean? I performed it live.
If you come see our live show, he'll do it for you.
Although, actually, I've only performed that one live once, and I messed up the lyrics on the second part. The bars. I screwed up my bars on the second part. But it's only my first time ever doing it live, so whatever. Anyway, thank you for that, Travis. There's your $50 worth.
Okay. BMX 1966, $20. Great vid.
Thank you so much, BMX. Watch out for this Gnostic Dark Goddess Savior archetype. I'm sick of it.
Vibranium, $5. Sean B. Ascending. Lol, great stream.
Me go to Sean B. Me go to Sean B. Me flirting with them bees. I don't know.
I like it.
I felt like Sean B would be like Sean Paul. You know what I mean? Remember Sean Paul?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Andrew Wilson, $100. Soy face.
Pay Piggy.
Hey man, thanks for the help with the PC fund and the 50. We more than hit our goal. I appreciate it. Here is double back. Thanks again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew. That's a big fat one. He wins the super chat contest tonight.
Nice. Evil Fire Ding 01. $1. I've just encountered a stream from a prominent ecumenist Christian apologist defending multiculturalism and liberalism. How can one be a Christian and defend the legacy of the Jacobins and Masons and the worship of Mammon capital?
Delusion. The power of believing in and being duped by delusion and doubling down. Travis, go ahead.
John Relo.
No, Travis.
Oh, Travis, $10. Notice how the ancient Lucy primate is shown with the same human eyes that evolutionists portray her with, even though that was only ever an artist's interpretation and not evidenced by the fossil.
Well, that's all of them, dude. Tiktaalik, they're all artist interpretations. Tiktaalik is just a fish bone and like a alligator bone. Look, it's the same thing. That's it. And then they got an artist, right, to draw a creature.
Yeah.
Crazy creatures.
John Reload, $10. Blessed Feast of the Dormition.
You too, John Reload.
Glitchy Rhythm, $3. Thank you to you, DPH, and some others. I'm starting my catechism class Sunday. Thank you for your work.
Awesome. Many years to you, bro. And also, remember, if you guys would, head over to chalk.com, the best in online supplementation. I've been taking my chalk every day for 2 years now almost, and I can highly recommend that you want some of that Action 2.0 if you want to boost your energy levels. She legit, great for mental focus and clarity. Jamie's been taking some Irish Moss again. That helps out with the ladies and what the ladies got going on. Dudes, we need testosterone boost. Get the Tomcat Elite. That's the Tomcat 100. Use the promo code J50. That's JAY50 to get 50% off. And if you use the promo code J53Life, that's J53LIFE, you get 53% off all recurring subscriptions. You can set them up like Jeff Bezos has over at Amazon, where you don't have to put the information in every month. You're going to get chalk every month coming to your house. You can't beat that. You know you want that. You got to up that toxic masculinity. Boost your toxic masculinity right now with our number one sponsor, chalk.com. Also, head on over to Autonomy Agora Marketplace to get access to my full philosophy course. It is right there in the show description at the Autonomy Agora Marketplace. That's 12 lectures, almost 30 plus hours with the Q&A and tutoring sessions. And you can get that over at Richard Grove's Autonomy Marketplace. You can get my Red Book, my Esoteric Hollywood books, Jamie's books in our shop at Jay's Analysis. Just click the link for the Red Book there. That will take you over to subscribe to our website as well. In the membership section, that's the next link. You can get access to our archives for $4.95 a month, $60 a year. And also follow me over on Rockfin, as well as our show sponsor, Grand Theft World. Richard Grove and Tony over there killing it on Rockfin. And anything else that comes on? When's your next
Go
show?
to my YouTube. I have several new ones. We got Rachel and me doing Barbie. We got Melissa and me doing Fat Acceptance. We've got Paul and me doing Disney movies.
Oh, so y'all have progressed and now accept me.
Yes.
You accept.
Accepted your
Jamie
body.
accepts
the way
my thunder thighs.
Me and Paul doing disturbing Disney movies, and
I got birthing hips, and they've been telling me, they've been hurting my feelings. But now her and Melissa have accepted me as I am. So no more thunder thigh jokes.
Well, you are a ham, but you don't look like one.
But not a ham planet.
Right.
All right. That's an old Reddit thing. Go ahead.
And tomorrow, me and Paul again on Disney Stuff Part 2.
All right, everybody have a good night, and link and share. What did we miss? We were going to do Queen of the Damned, but we didn't get to it. It's kind of a forgotten B movie with Aaliyah. Can you think of any other films? Put them in the comments below that evidence the female revenge fantasies or the dark goddess savior archetype that we could